Awesome.
Remember when you were young and everything in life seemed so much more fun and the possibilities seemed endless? Is that still the same for you, or has life become a serious business? Wherever you are, you can change it. What if more magic, fun, and possibilities were available to you right here, right now? Join Laura and Alun in the playground of possibility as they play, laugh, and explore new ways you can use to make your life more fun and to create more of what you desire.
Hello and welcome to the Playground of Possibilities with myself, Al, and I am today adventurous Al, and I have with me my gorgeous co-host Lozzie Lala.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, Lozzie Lala. It sounds like we've just gone into what were they called? The
Olympus.
No. The other show with the... Anyway, Bright Shiny Things. What are we here to...
The Teletubbies. Yes,
Teletubbies. That's it. Well done. Thank you, Brie. Teletubbies, yeah. So, Lozzie Lala. Anyway, I think I'm a bit dipsy today. So, welcome to the Playground of Possibilities. My name is Alan Jones. And
did you forget?
I did forget. Where's my handbag?
Where's your handbag?
So I'm with my gorgeous co-host, Laura Borland, and we are both certified coaches, and we are certified. We are completely certified, and I think the men in the white coats come to take us away, but we are both certified coaches, I promise you. Got the paper to prove it. So you can find out more about what Laura and I do at www.lauraborland.com or Alun, which is ALUN -Jones.com. So you can find out all about us there, or post a question on our Facebook page, which is Facebook.com/LifeWithPlay. Laura, what are we here to talk about today? Lozzie Lulu.
Lozzie Lala.
Oh, Lala.
Before I tell you about the show today, I just wanted to say that I had a look at your website and your new website, and I totally love it. It looks completely awesome. The energy's really light, and it's just really kind of like, it was a real joy to kind of mooch around.
Thank you. I had so much fun creating that, and it's one of those things I look at and go, I loved my last website, and this one is just even more yummy for me, with the little kind of changing bits at the top and menus that pop out and downloady bits. It's awesome.
Awesome. How does it in that? Anyway, so today's show, hang on till I just find it. So today is it's called Party On Down with Scrooge. So, have you ever noticed how much judgment people have about Scrooge and how much they make him wrong? What if Scrooge was just choosing what worked for him? Because it did work for him until he decided to choose something else. How much do you refuse to choose for you in order to fit in and make other people happy? What if you were willing to receive the amount of judgment that Scrooge did? Indeed, what definition of being happy and a contribution are you using to limit just how much of a contribution you really can be to the world? And what Scrooge-like qualities do you have that you've been locking away and denying that is actually creating more of a detriment to you and the world than if you were to embrace them? So, my lovely playmate, this show was your idea, and I'm like, and we've talked about this show for a wee while, so tell me kind of like, talk to me about Scrooge.
Okay, so much of my life, I kind of fell in love with a lot of the Christmas films that go on, and which is, I'm a bit of an addict.
Can I just tell our listeners, actually, Alan, in fact, does ironing while watching Christmas 24 channel?
I do. I do my ironing once. I'm a complete and utter weirdo. Well, you see, that's the thing. Having watched so many of these films on Christmas 24, and since kind of coming across Access Consciousness, I started to look at life very differently. And what before was, that's really great, and mean people should be happy and they should share more and all of that kind of stuff, I started to ask some questions about, actually, is that true? Mm-hmm. And I look at what happened so what really inspired this was how much judgment people did have of Scrooge in terms of what he was choosing. He chose in his business to make money by lending money out. I think, okay, that's cool, but we make him wrong for that, of course, because you shouldn't make money out of people, because that's really mean. And everyone blames him. I mean, okay, he had potentially no obvious care for people around him. He didn't really care. Or did he? You know, that was the question that I started to ask, was actually how caring was Scrooge and what contribution was he to people that they're unwilling to acknowledge? You know, people made him so wrong for choosing to hoard his money and not spend his money and live for him, what was actually happy for him was to have this really kind of thin broth for his dinner. And everyone's saying, oh, that's because he's really tired and he's not prepared to spend the money. What if that's just a choice that he made?
And isn't it really interesting how, as well, the movie portrayed it as you can either have love and kindness or you can have money.
Absolutely, can't have both. And he had a love of money. He knew what he was doing with money. You know, he was a good businessman. He was in some ways ruthless. And and then you start to question. Well, the thing is, when you are if consciousness is all energies, includes all energies and judges none of them, surely there is a time when consciousness is ruthless too.
Well, absolutely. Yes.
And everywhere we're unwilling to be ruthless, what happens then is we then put ourselves in the place of not being aware of when people are being ruthless with us. We put our blinders on, and we cannot see A, where we are being ruthless, and B, where where other people are willing to be ruthless to us. So we walk in and we blame them for our shortcomings. It's like, well, they're just ruthless. That's just the choice that they're making. And all of those people who went to Scrooge to get money from him, come on, you're not stupid. You know he's a tight bastard, and he is going to take a pound of flesh from you, and if you don't pay up on time, you absolutely know that. So why blame your desperation on him?
Well, it's that very clear deal and deliver, and it's like that thing where it's like oh well, we don't have money, but we're happy.
Yes.
We love each other.
Yeah, I don't need one. You can have all the money in the world, but you can't be happy. It's like, what a load of bollocks.
Absolutely.
And I used to really believe that as well. Then you can't have money, and money can't buy you happiness. It bloody well can. A massage from it.
No strong point of view going on there, though.
No, absolutely. I don't have anything point of view about that. But it's like if I have money and I want to go and have a massage, or or treat myself to reflexology or something else that pampers my body, that brings me a lot of happiness. My body loves having that kind of stuff. And no, I don't necessarily need to have money to have that, but money makes it easier at times to go and pay for those
and
things.
I guess it's that thing where it's like, it's really funny. It's like we had a family dinner the other day, and it's like, and my sister said, this soup really makes me happy. And
Right.
It made me laugh, because I'm like thinking, it's that thing where if you eat soup to be happy, you're going to have to traipse a lot of soup around with you, as opposed to as opposed to that thing where it's just like, it's about not relying on something to make us happy, I guess.
Yeah, it's having it as a contribution to your life. You have happiness, and happiness is a choice no matter what you're choosing. And, I think, so, yeah, there are certain food, today, because I've had this cold, and I'm actually quite good at asking my body what it wants to eat. And I had a handful of salted cashew nuts, and my body was just in bliss. It's like, thank you so much, and that's all I've needed. I haven't needed anything else. Okay, that's all I wanted. That was brilliant. Thank you so much. It's like, and so yeah, Eleanor's put in the chat room here, what if there was no judgment on ruthlessness? I think absolutely right. Consciousness won't judge ruthlessness. And what is ruthlessness?
And it's really funny, and because actually it's a really cool question, Eleanor, and the awareness that I have got is I'm actually involved in a piece of work just now where people might dismiss being quite ruthless. And what's interesting is that actually, in terms of like the focus of it, it's about creating something that's greater for people who are vulnerable in society. And actually, it's like, and so my ruthlessness is not in terms of the focus, but my ruthlessness is around the staff. And the organisation where, it's like there's stuff going on. And so actually, what if ruthlessness is sometimes kindness? And I'm not saying that Scrooge was or wasn't, but I'm just like thinking that, people kind of like look at me and go, she's ruthless. And I'm like, well, actually, what if that's kindness? Because what if actually that's what's required to create the greatest and the most
absolutely
over there? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, totally agree with you, Laura, because that works for me. Because it's like, one of the questions that I ask quite a lot is, am I willing to do and be whatever it takes to create consciousness in the world? Am I ruthlessly pursuing consciousness, creating it and generating it and sharing it and contributing it and receiving it? Yeah, as much as I possibly can. Yeah. And some people might say that that's ruthless, and do you know what? That's okay. That's just an interesting point of view. The weather, if you look at the weather, and the planet will go and cause a tsunami in a kind of, in some ways could be seen as quite a ruthless manner. It's like, look, the change needs to happen. I'm going to create a tsunami, and that may be really awful for some people, but it has to be done because it will create more.
And that's the thing. It's like, how often do we look at kind of like what's going on in this 10 seconds and decide it's like, good or bad, when actually, what if it just is? And it's like that thing where, when our thinking gets in the way, and we're trying to kind of like make stuff meaningful and significant, and we're trying to analyse stuff, it's actually that for me that kind of like really sticks me, because I'm like thinking, if I can just allow it to be, like, this is not my best story, right? But I had a complete hissy fit on Saturday over something really nothing, which resulted in me throwing my toothbrush really hard in the ground about 3 times.
Awesome. Because I've never done that.
And see when I did it, it's just like there was a part of me laughing, and I was like, oh man, because there was a lot of intensity around. But it's like what I really noticed, because then I went outside, and what I noticed was, and I didn't take my toothbrush with me. What I noticed was I was walking down the road, and I kind of it passed. But part of the reason it passed for me was because I didn't get into a big mad story about making it meaningful, significant, and I was like, that was quite funny. Of all the things I could have thrown, I picked up my toothbrush. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's like throwing a feather.
Well, did it work? Did it ease your frustration?
Yes, it did ease my frustration. I was ruthless in throwing a toothbrush.
Sorry, I was just about to say, were you ruthless with your toothbrush?
Yes, I was ruthless with my toothbrush. But actually, it's funny, since we've talked about this show, just how many times Scrooge has come up in my world. In fact, I was even talking to a friend yesterday, and she's like, oh, I'm away to see kind of like whatever the pantomime is with like Scrooge in it. What is it called?
Christmas Carol.
Thank you. And so we were talking, I know, how ridiculous is that, Eleanor? And we were talking about it, and I was just thinking, that whole thing, like, what if Scrooge was really choosing what worked for him?
Absolutely, and how often have we made him wrong for that? How much, and we can pick up, because I know we're coming up to break, and I'd like to talk about that in much more depth. So because there is that whole thing around making people wrong for the choices they make. And I think that's what happened quite a lot in watching those films and watching the different versions of Scrooge and Scrooge. I mean, I've seen them all. I've seen Scrooge, Scrooge. I've seen the Muppets Christmas Carol. I've seen them all, and and they all kind of say the same thing. It was this kind of tight-fisted, mean, selfish, because he didn't go around giving everybody his money for free. Well, why the fuck should he? Why should he just go and give his money to people willy-nilly? And are they even willing to receive it?
So you've got no points of view going on there, have you?
No. I used to think that if I won the lottery, I used to make a list of all the people I would give money to. And then I asked the question...
And then I crossed them off.
What? Yeah, because I hate them, because they're really mean to me. And it was just like... Is that a kindness to give people money that they haven't asked for and that they actually are unwilling to receive? Is it a kindness to give people, say I won 60 million and I went around giving all my family 1 million, that they actually weren't willing to receive? Is that a kindness to them?
That's really, just really quickly before we go to break, I was thanking somebody for something that they had done for me yesterday, and I thanked them 3 times, and then I got, oh wow, they can't receive this. And so I just stopped, because I thought, what am I making really significant about wanting to be received here?
Yeah, sorry, I was taking a drink of water. So,
Shall we head to a break, and when we come back, then we'll talk a little bit more about kind of like Scrooge and choosing what worked for him, because it's like, actually, how often do we judge ourselves and other people for choosing what works for them?
Totally.
I wonder. Yeah. Okay, lovely Bree. Take us to break. We'll see you after break, guys.
Bye.
Were you told as a child to grow up, act your age, and stop being childish? And were you made to feel wrong for choosing to have fun? Is that still the same for you now that you're an adult? Have you ever wondered what your life would be like if you created it with more fun, more ease, and in the knowledge that far more choices and possibilities are always available to you? Tune in to the Playground of Possibilities radio show with Laura Borland and Alun Jones, who have fun playing with tools, techniques, and ideas that will inspire you to create more fun, more possibilities, and more magic in your life. Do you want to play? Listen for the Playground of Possibilities radio show every Monday at 3 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 7 a.m. Pacific on A2Zen.fm.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that, when run, assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
This is the Playground of Possibilities radio show with Laura Borland and Alun Jones. To participate in the program today, please call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736. In the UK, 4433-0001-0625. Or Skype us at A2Zen.fm. You can also email us questions or comments by sending emails to playgroundofpossibilities@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Hello, and welcome back to the Playground of Possibilities with my lovely playmate Alun Jones, also known as Adventurous Al today, and myself, Laura Borland, where we are partying down with Scrooge. I had this vision of him doing a bit of a rap dance, like, you know, a bit of a dance, and then I thought you could maybe create a song and sing it.
Really?
I know, I think I take some drugs in the
Yeah, bear with me a second. I just need to blow my nose. I'm sorry, people. I have a cold, so I'm trying desperately not to.
I will fill the air while you do the. So I really love that question. What if you didn't judge your boss for being Scrooge, Eleanor? What if you didn't judge your boss for being Scrooge? What would that create? I wonder. What space could that create?
You know, my response. Oh,
yes.
Thank you. Whoever it was who muted me, thank you very much for that. Awesome.
Actually funny, I was like, where's he gone? I said he's gone.
Yeah, thanks. I think that was probably, Christine, thank you for that. My response to Eleanor was, what if you could be in total allowance of what he's choosing? Because that's what I was touching on before we were going to go to the break. I was talking to somebody at the weekend about this whole thing around choices and how so often when other people will see things that we're choosing that are different to what they're choosing, they can either be in total allowance. Well, there's lots of things they could do, but from my perspective, they'll either be in total allowance of what I'm choosing and go, "Oh, that's great, brilliant, good for you," or they will then attack you for it. And it's like, and so I ask, well, are they just mean? Is that what it is? Is that what they are? Are they just mean to me? It's like, well, no, actually, what often is happening when people start to judge you for your choices is, from their perspective, you're invalidating everything they've ever chosen because you're not choosing the same.
And actually,
go on. So
well,
here's the name.
No, you go. No, I go, and then nobody goes. You go. I insist.
Okay. With my handbag, there it is. So it's like I have to judge myself as being bad and wrong for the choices that I've made, and I'm really unwilling to do that. I'm unwilling to receive the judgment of my choices being wrong whether or not they are, or whether, because there is no right or wrong, but because I'm so unwilling to receive that, I then have to make somebody else's choices wrong, and that's obviously what happens quite a lot with people. So with Scrooge, everyone was looking at Scrooge and going, "Oh my God, he's choosing to be this tight-fisted old git who won't, necessarily kind of support people, and how uncaring is he, because he won't go out of his way to give people all his money." And I would never choose that, and therefore, because I would never choose that, all that. What if his choice is right? What if that actually is the proper way to be? Could you then get into doubt? What if the way Scrooge is behaving is what's supposed to be? Well, no, I haven't never chosen that, therefore I can't choose that myself. It's like, oh my God, so it's like we make ourselves so wrong for it. And then of course there's that whole thing around how many lifetimes have you been Scroogey that other people have judged you for, and therefore you vowed never. Yeah, and where have you vowed never to be that again? So you have to judge in order not to be it.
And actually, something that you were saying there, I was thinking that when, often when we make a choice, or even when someone else makes a choice, it's like, and we react to it. Sometimes people are reacting because it's like, is it that we're invalidating them? Yeah, but also sometimes it can be really scary for people, and so that thing where people, it's like, and so to see the space that kind of like that someone's choosing from, it's not necessarily that, it could be a completely like deeply unconscious response. It's not that they're necessarily being kind of like a total elf about it. It's just that it might be that they're really kind of, it's really scary, and it's like, and they're trying to protect what they've kind of like built their constructs on, and we've all done that.
Yeah, absolutely. And hang on. Sorry,
Alan, don't fart in the radio. It's not big.
Sorry. It just keeps catching me on the unawares. So yeah, absolutely. It is about we just this whole thing around right and wrong choices, but also coming back to that thing around, is it a kindness? I'm going to come back to that again. Is it a kindness to give people everything without them having asked you for it? So, we look at Scrooge and go, he was really unkind because he wouldn't give, but then he became suddenly kind when he was giving away to everyone. Well, is it kindness to give someone lots of fish, or to teach them how to fish?
Absolutely, and I think the more we're talking about this, the more I'm thinking that, what Scrooge really represents to me is like that polarized kind of like world that we live in. So you're either this or you're this. Because actually, it's just like, so, poor people weren't willing to receive money, but Scrooge wasn't like willing to receive kindness. And he totally wasn't willing to choose vulnerability.
No, he wasn't.
It's like they all were just kind of functioning from their interest and point of view and creating from that space. And actually, it's like, because it wasn't an interesting point of view for them, but it felt real, it's like they all limited themselves.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Kathleen is online with a question.
Ooh, how exciting! Our first caller. Awesome. So should we have Kathleen on the line? Let's bring Kathleen on the line. Let's see what.
Awesome. Hello. How did we get so lucky?
Hi, I get to call in. It's so exciting.
You're our first caller, Kathleen. So thank you.
Yay! This is woohoo! This is such a fun topic, and it actually brought up for me a question, because in my family, my dad, at least when I was young, tended to be what would be defined as the Scrooge, and then my mom would overcompensate by like spending more money, because he was, quote, the Scrooge, and he was actually now he was so thoughtful about his money that he's doing fine money-wise, and my mom is still, quote, struggling or whatever. So I find myself bouncing back and forth between those two polarities sometimes, and I'm aware of that, but I would just like to have you guys kind of address when you have, that's kind of what I've mimicked myself after a little bit, is either my dad being a Scrooge or my mom overspending. Instead of something totally different. Yes, go ahead.
Because it's like, and this is truly the first thing that popped into my head when you were talking, and I'm like, and how much fun is that?
No fun at all.
Oh, bless. So, yeah, I mean, what else is possible that you haven't considered? I'm curious.
Yes.
So, Kathleen, question that, if I can ask you, is if you had no experience whatsoever of your mother and father in what they were choosing, what would you choose?
Well, when you brought up the Scrooge thing, what I realized is that, like, getting to this point where I can choose having money as fun instead of just spending money being fun, like actually having money being fun too. You know?
Absolutely. And I think, a couple of things, some of the Access Consciousness tools can be really great for having fun with money. One of the ones that I played with was the whole 10% account. Because I'm like you, my family have all sorts of interesting points of view about money, and and they're tight, but they spend it, but they're tight, but they spend it, and so I've been in that pillar to post thing. And so the whole idea of having a 10% account of everything that comes into my life, I put 10% of it into a having account. And I put this 10% in. And at first, I used to look at it and think, I can't touch that money. I used to put so much significance around it. And now that I've got a reasonable amount of money in there, I look at it and go, wow, that's a lot of fun for me just knowing I've got that money.
Yes.
And it's just playing with that. What else can you do that's playing with me? I keep two £50 notes in my wallet, and I'm allowed to spend that money. It's not part of my 10% account. It's just and that £50 notes for me are really magical. So I can walk around shops and I just look at things like, I could have that, and I could have that, and I could have that, but I don't really buy it because it's just a lot of the fun knowing that I can have anything I want without making it all about the money.
And Kathleen, it's interesting, that you're saying that because you might be able to tell from my accent that I'm from Scotland, and we don't always have so much joy with money in Scotland. And I remember actually talking to Gary Douglas and asking him a question, and the question was, it's like, I've created some real craziness about money, and it's like I'm really tired of it, blah blah blah. And what he said was, wow, it's just like there's no joy. There's no joy. And actually, money for me had never been something that had been fun and joy. And so I had been asking, I asked a question, which was, and had been asking it for a while, which was, hey, money, what will it take for you to play with me? Hey, what will it take for you to have fun with me? And I had asked it today, and then I was walking down the road, and I quite often find money in the street, and I saw this 2 pence lying in the street, and I went to pick it up, and somebody had glued it to the ground. And I laughed and laughed and laughed. And I think it's like that thing where, certainly for me, the more I focused on it, the more craziness I made around it. And it's almost like, for me, I'm like, what would happen if you could just kind of maybe not think about it and just kind of just started to try and play with it?
Yeah.
And just, it's like, so who do you love to play with? It's like, do you have any pets, or do you have any kind of small children in your world? And I'm just really curious about the energy of that we use with these kind of beings. I'm like, what if you could have that with money? What might that create?
Yes. Yeah, thanks. Those are great questions. And even though there's things that you've said that I've heard before, the way you said them, I could hear it a little bit differently in a way that it's helpful. Thanks so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for coming, and go and have some fun with money.
Thank you.
Yes, I will.
Yeah.
Yes. Have a great show.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for calling. Thanks.
Wait. So can I just mark this point in time? Because do you remember, was it last week? My God, was that only a week ago? Or was it the week before? I forget. It doesn't matter.
I think it was last week.
What would it take for us to have somebody come on and ask us a question?
I know. How did we get so lucky?
Well, what else can we create that we've not asked for?
Are we willing to ask for it? Are we willing to ask for it? So, awesome. Thank you so much. Ask a question. So thank you again for coming on the show. And we are going to go to break. And yes, Christine, hey Christine, can we have a discount on our show?
keep asking, brother.
So we're going to go to break now, and we'll pick this up straight after. So see you shortly after these adverts.
Were you told as a child to grow up, act your age, and stop being childish? And were you made to feel wrong for choosing to have fun? Is that still the same for you now that you're an adult? Have you ever wondered what your life would be like if you created it with more fun, more ease, and in the knowledge that far more choices and possibilities are always available to you? Tune in to the Playground of Possibilities radio show with Laura Borland and Alun Jones, who have fun playing with tools, techniques, and ideas that will inspire you to create more fun, more possibilities, and more magic in your life. Do you want to play? Listen for the Playground of Possibilities radio show every Monday at 3 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 7 a.m. Pacific on A2Zen.fm.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that when run assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
This is the Playground of Possibilities radio show with Laura Borland and Alun Jones. To participate in the program today, please call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736. In the UK, 4433-0001-0625. Or Skype us at A2Zen.fm. You can also email us questions or comments by sending emails to playgroundofpossibilities@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Hello, and welcome back to Playground of Possibilities with myself. Awesome. I'm not awesome, Alan, today. I'm adventurous, Al, today.
Awesome.
I am awesome, though. I am awesome, adventurous, and all sorts of other A's. We won't go there. And my gorgeous co-host, Lozzie Lola, otherwise known as Gorgeous Laura Borland.
Oh.
So here we are talking about Scrooge and how much we love to make Scrooge wrong. And, yeah, and, excuse me, just so picking up on everything that we've talked about, I just wanted to pick up on a tool that one of the Access Consciousness body processes. So Access Consciousness created a whole load of, which is Gary Douglas and Dr. Doan here, have created some, or found, however you want to describe them, kind of body processes to help you kind of let go of limitations and blocks and stuff you have in your life. And one of them is about biomimetic mimicry. And without getting into too much kind of spiel about what that actually means, it is about where you've taken on and locked into your body, where you mimic other people. So you might mimic your mother and you might mimic your father, and it's so ingrained in into your body and into your being that you don't even realize you're doing it. So if you can find yourself an Access Consciousness body process practitioner, yeah, that's the word. A gorgeous person. If you can go to the accessconsciousness.com website, you should be able to find somebody there. And, it's really worth having this body process done because, we do mimic other people's behavior without even realizing it. And it is, it is one of the gifts, one of the massive gifts that I've had, and one of the thousands of gifts I've had from Access Consciousness. But, that process for me has just been such a brilliant thing where it's helped me let go of a whole load of mimicry I've doing, not just to my parents, but of society, especially around money. How much do we mimic other people's behaviors around money, and how much are we willing to be different from what our family are choosing? Yeah. If we think about, what Kathleen was saying about her family, how much are we willing to choose something different than what our family are choosing? And how often do we refuse to do that because we don't want to validate them or in our point of view, make them feel stupid for having chosen what they've chosen. So we don't choose something different.
Absolutely, and it's funny, when we're talking about that, especially at this time of year, when like, you know, so many people like, you know, choose to spend time with their family. There's kind of like lots of kind of like, I don't know, weird funky energy flying about the place, and you know, just how you kind of, you know, the mimicry that goes on, and kind of like, and it's that whole thing about, you know, the mental models that people have in the world, and you know, sometimes it's like they get really kind of like bent out of shape if you do anything that kind of like looks like you're even coming close to kind of like doing anything differently, and us too.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think, is it in Australia they call it the tall poppy syndrome or something like that? When you choose to stand out and do something different, people will just size your head off, and so you're unwilling to do it. And you know, and it comes back to all of this stuff around Scrooge and the choices that he made, and you know, what really galled me in the end was just like, you know, he learned to live Christmas in his heart every single day. Poor bastard, you know. What? Because that's like he's choosing the same thing then for the rest of his life. And it's like, well, and what does that even mean?
Yeah,
you know,
but that's
he's got
that
to...
whole thing.
Sorry,
we're fed. It's like when we're, you know, it's like we're fed. Like, you know, we're fed something, and it's like, this is good and this is bad. And it's like, and I think that, you know, more and more I see that we live in such a polarized universe that so judges things. And so this is good and this is bad. And it's just, and it's really, it's becoming really curious for me, where I'm like, okay, interesting point of view, do you think that's bad? I just, there's some things just don't have charge for me. I'm just like, wow, that's like an interesting choice. But it is that thing where it's like there's like one way, and it's almost like that way where you know, you can be in our gang if you subscribe to all the stuff we subscribe to. Yeah,
and absolutely, and it is. It's like, think about the way things have shifted and changed over the years, and what was acceptable, you know, even 20 years ago, and what was acceptable 100 years ago. And if you're running a business, there are going to be people who look at you. You know, there are going to be people who look at you and how you're running your business and say that you're either ruthless or you're not, because you're willing to make decisions that you know will create more for the world. And are you willing to receive the judgment of being ruthless? Absolutely, because it's just somebody else's interesting point of view. Interesting point of view, they have that point of view. Interesting point of view, they have that point of view, I'm ruthless. It's one of the Access Consciousness tools. Yeah. You know,
and
interesting point of view.
Isn't it funny how it's like actually we make that significant, and then it's like we make their judgment of us more real and solid than what we know to be true for us.
Absolutely. And you know, Keisha in the chat room said, you know, what have we misidentified and misapplied the meaning of Christmas as? And something else that was said in one of those films was, it's better to give than receive. And I'm like, what the fuck? Really? And I know I had a real charge on that, because I know I used to believe it myself. Like, it's better to give than receive. Well, if you keep giving and you're not willing to receive, how can you give? How?
Yeah.
You've run out. You know, you have to be willing to leave. And absolutely. Yeah. So it's just like, you know, we get so caught up in, you know, what does Christmas really mean? And it means so much to different people. If there was no meaning or significance over Christmas at all, I see people go absolutely bonkers in the shops.
What's
you know,
that?
I know, they get caught up in, I have to buy, it's the number of presents I buy for my children. Can you take over, because I'm going to mute myself and cough.
Well, actually, do you know what's really funny? You're not muting yourself, can I just point out?
Oh, God.
Well, I have a 1-year-old nephew, and I have a 4-year-old nephew, and what was really quite awesome this Christmas was that the 4-year-old just loves kind of like presents, and he doesn't really much care what's in the presents, so it's like my sister had said, let's just wrap up nappies and give it to like the one, because he has no clue. And it's like, it was amazing, like seeing the 4-year-olds be kind of like rip open these presents and be like, it's nappies. Just like, it made some kind of like, it just made the whole thing like really hilarious, because it's like this whole thing about kind of like, you know, the notion of like giving and receiving.
Yeah.
And, you know, where did we decide? It's like, but you know, that's the thing for me where it's like, you know, it's like good Christian charity. It's like we're given, and actually I remember Blossom talking about that, you know, when she was a kid, it's like that her and her family didn't have so much money, and so there was all these people around who would give them kind of like money, but actually they did it from a place of superiority to make themselves feel better.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the whole, you know, it's like the whole notion of like giving and receiving, it's just kind of like, I don't know, Alan, do you think we live in a crazy world?
I think we live in an insane world. Absolutely, because there is that whole thing, oh, well, I've given a little bit to charity, therefore I can go home and kind of stuff my face. You think, well, that to me is no better than Scrooge himself. You know, and it's no better than anybody else saying, oh, well, you know, because I'm poor, you know, and I've given my tuppence, therefore I can go home and feel superior to those rich people who are giving nothing. Well, it's a bit like celebrities. People talk about, you know, I've heard it said, you know, celebrities who do things like Band-Aid and go, well, if they were to give all their money to kind of charity, then there wouldn't be any poverty in the world. You think, well, how, you know, what a huge judgment that is. These people are giving up their time and whatever it is. You know, I'm not justifying what they do. It's like you don't know what people do behind closed doors.
No, and you know, it's funny, just as like, I'm really loving that, Eleanor, what if everything is the opposite of what it seems to be and nothing is the opposite of what it seems to be. And I think it's that thing where it's really interesting the amount of energy sometimes that people expend judging others. Yeah. Where I'm just kind of like, not all the time, I do, it's like, and actually sometimes it's like, oh, sometimes judging others is fun.
Oh my God, what kind of person am I doing my radio show with?
But you're totally in judgment, and then it's like, and then, you know, but I think it's that thing about, you know, okay, I'm choosing this in these 10 seconds, and then actually 3 minutes later you're like, well, that was an interesting point of view. And I think that, you know, once we can begin to kind of like look at giving up the definitions of who and what we are, then it's almost like we just begin to play with all as toys and none of it's significant. Oh, I chose that. Interesting. Okay, now I chose that. Exactly, just because we can. And I think for me, it's like I've begun to choose to stop making myself wrong for that. And you know, it's really funny because it's like in the stopping making myself wrong for it, it's amazing how much more quickly the energy's beginning to like shift through me. That stuff that you've been trying to clear for ages, and then you do nothing, it just goes. You're like, really?
Yeah, sorry, I had to mute myself again. I was listening to you. So absolutely, we just get so... we do. Where's my handbag? There it is. We get so... so to anyone listening, that's a Victoria Wood sketch that was actually quite amusing at the time when I was explaining it to Laura before the show. But anyway.
But now we've done it 150 times.
Yeah, now we've done it 150 times. It's still funny to me, and it probably means absolutely bugger all to you. So that's okay. You can judge me, and I'll have that. Thank you. Ka-ching, ka-ching. And it is about not making ourselves wrong for, you know, the judgments that we're aware of other people have of themselves.
Yeah.
And you know, yeah, it's about not making ourselves for being aware of the other judgments that people have of themselves. Because we are incredibly aware, and often, you know, probably 99% of the time, the judgments that we think are ours are really judgments that we've picked up from other people, or that we're mimicking, that we've taken in, that we actually believe are our own. I mean, is a baby born with judgments? You know, and it's a bit like, and when you give a child, we're talking about what you talk about, unwrapping nappies, how often are children, you know, more happy with the wrapping paper than they are with the present inside.
Exactly. I was going to say something and it was very profound and I completely forget what it was.
I'm muted again. Well, everything you say is profound, lovely Laura.
Okay, you took that too far.
Well,
but you know what? It's interesting as well because I'm like thinking, you know, how much did Scrooge use his qualities as a defence?
Yeah.
And as a kind of like, so it's not from a place of, it wasn't from the place of the kingdom of we. It was actually, it wasn't about him trying to push people out. Sorry, it wasn't about him trying to push people out. It was that he didn't want to let people in.
Yeah, I think that's actually probably quite true.
So, curious. Anyway, I'm thinking on that note, it's like I'm hoping that the lovely Bree will take us to break, and when we come back for our actually, see, before we go to break, can I just say it's like our radio show gave us the most awesome present because we're now on iTunes, which is just so exciting. And so I've no idea how you find it yet, Alan.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
Probably if you go to iTunes and just Google Play Possibilities. It'll come up that way, but that's so exciting. So it's just like, I'm really grateful for kind of like for the guys for sorting that out, because I know that Christine probably thought we were a big pain in the asses because we were on and on and on about it, but it's really cool, and thank you that it's sorted. Anyway, okay, enough. Break.
Let's go to break.
Were you told as a child to grow up, act your age, and stop being childish? And were you made to feel wrong for choosing to have fun? Is that still the same for you now that you're an adult? Have you ever wondered what your life would be like if you created it with more fun, more ease, and in the knowledge that far more choices and possibilities are always available to you? Tune in to the Playground of Possibilities radio show with Laura Borland and Alun Jones, who have fun playing with tools, techniques, and ideas that will inspire you to create more fun, more possibilities, and more magic in your life. Do you want to play? Listen for the Playground of Possibilities radio show every Monday at 3 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 7 a.m. Pacific on A2Zen.fm.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that, when run, assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
This is the Playground of Possibilities radio show with Laura Borland and Alun Jones. To participate in the program today, please call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736. In the UK, 4433-0001-0625. Or Skype us at A2Zen.fm. You can also email us questions or comments by sending emails to playgroundofpossibilities@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Hello, and welcome back to the Playground of Possibilities with myself, Laura Borland, and my lovely playmate, Alun Jones. How are you doing? Are you hanging in there?
I'm just, yeah.
Good. Not long school, Pep. So there was just, Keisha, you said something really cool in the break. You were saying about, I wonder how many of us are really willing to have our own relationship with money. And that keeps us in a loop of judgment about what others are choosing with their money. And it's such a great point, because it's like, you know, that thing, it's like, so even if we do have what we judge as a crappy relationship with money in this 10 seconds, why do we keep choosing it over and over again? I guess because we think that we can't choose something different, because we have to see a different reality to believe it, where actually we have to be it to create it.
Yeah, that can often be the case, isn't it? It's like seeing is believing, but also there is, you know, the mimicry. There's not realizing we're making the same thing. It's almost like, you know how, have you ever rearranged your cupboards in your house? And then
this morning.
Keep going back to, so then you keep going back to the old cupboard that you used to go to for the thing that you used to have in there. And it's like we can get into a pattern. It's like when we're living on automatic pilot, that's what happens when we keep choosing the same thing over and over again. Choosing without asking a question. Yeah. We're choosing purely from a place of, well, I've always chosen that, and it's so automatic for me to choose that. Rather than before you make any choice, it's like, what can I choose that would create more for me? So what can I choose with money? What relationship can I, in this 10 seconds, what relationship can I choose with money that's fun, phenomenal, and rewarding for me?
Yeah, because we make it so solid and real, and then we really tell story and make it, and you know, it's like, and then, which then solidifies it kind of like more and more, and I love that thing where it's like, you know, actually none of it's real. None of it's real. It's just, I read something recently and it said that actually our mind is like the best special effects machine that's ever been created. I just thought,
wow, never a true word spoken.
I just thought that was absolutely wonderful, because it's like, you know, that way where you're like, well, you know, I get that's not real and that's not real, but that is. And it's like, no, none of it is.
None of it is. None of it's meaningful. None of it's significant.
No.
And we get so caught up in, you know, what it really means to live Christmas every day of your life, and all of that polarity about giving and receiving, which is not the same as gifting and receiving, because when you give something, you know, you kind of expect something in return because you'll give and receive.
Yeah.
And so we do get so caught up in that whole thing around giving and receiving, and how often do we gift to ourselves? Because again, it's like many of these Christmas films, it's all about giving to other people, gifting to other people, however you want to describe it. It's like, but where do you gift to yourself? Where do you gift to your own body? Where do you put everybody else's needs above your own? And if you keep, and I'm not saying that's right or wrong, I'm saying that's just choice that you're making. And if you only ever put other people's choices above your own, how's that working for you?
Well, I think it's that thing where there's nothing wrong with doing that. It's just that when you make that the only choice that you will choose, then it kind of like takes it to a very different space, because then you begin to create like a limitation for yourself. So awesome. What an awesome show. It's like we've talked about some really kind of like amazing things, and I'm just, you know, like, I really like the question you had done in the write-up for the show, Alan. It's like, how much do you refuse to choose for you in order to fit and make other people happy?
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, whoa, you know, and I wonder, it's like what we could create if we began to acknowledge where we're refusing to choose for us in order to fit in and make people happy. Truly, what could that create? Not only for us, but also for kind of like the people who know us, and also for the planet.
Yeah. What am I willing to choose that, if I were willing to choose it, would give me all of me and be an amazing contribution to the world? Yeah. And you know, that just my whole energy just kind of expands when I ask that question. It's like, what am I unwilling to choose that, if I were willing to choose it, would give me all of me? And how much more yummy could your life be if you're willing to have all of you in it? And how much more of you can you contribute to the world if you're willing to have you in totality?
Because we all pretty rock. We all rock. It's just that we really do a brilliant job of pretending that we don't a lot of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It was a bit like me pretending to be invisible. And I had a session with Crystal Crawford, and she just said to me, just very matter-of-factly, because you know you're not invisible, don't you? And I was just like, oh my God. So thank you, Crystal Crawford, for that. I adore you for that very succinct question, which is so to everyone out there, you know, who thinks that they're invisible, you know you're not.
Absolutely.
You're not invisible. We see you. We know you're there. And absolutely, Eleanor just put in the chat room, what if Scrooge was choosing for him? Absolutely right.
Yeah,
he was choosing for him, but we all make him wrong for it. So we're coming to the end of the show. Yeah. So thank you so much for everyone who's been in the chat room, and for Kathleen for coming online, and for all the questions, and for everyone who's been, because I think this is the last show. This is the last show of the year for us. I know.
How exciting it's been. It's like been so much fun, and I wonder what else is possible beyond, which leads us nicely into our next show. What's our next show called? Because I completely forget.
New Year Bollocks or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, New Year Bollocks. It's like
New Year Bollocks. Absolutely.
So, and actually, next week's show's a pre-record, but so the chat room won't be around. But we'd love you to listen to in as we do our own special take on kind of like
New Year Bollocks.
You just like saying that word, bollocks.
I do. Bollocks. It's a great word, and New Year so often is full of bollocks in many ways. So I'm going to shut up, and we will see you in 2015.
Okay.
Thank you all for an awesome 2014. Bye, everyone.